You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on AETi Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, like all the other editions of the show, is brought to you by AETi, Caisse Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. It's the first not first edition of Coffee with Graeme in March, actually. It's crazy it's March. Daylight savings, of course, happened this past weekend. So I'm an hour ahead, more than usual, losing that hour of sleep. Kind of tough, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, great to be here on this Tuesday morning, folks. We got a good lineup of guests for you guys today. We got two people joining the show, and this first guest coming up is the head coach of the Notre Hounds and the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, Craig Perrett. His team, the Hounds, ended up finishing 24-2-2 this season, finishing first place, being able to get a bye into the semifinals. They're set up to take on the Saskatoon Stars in the semifinals in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League playoffs here coming up. I'm going to have a chance to ask Craig about the regular season the team had, what the team has been doing during the bye to gear up for the first round of playoffs, and the preview of the playoff matchup coming up for this Notre Dame Hounds team against the Saskatoon Stars. That's coming up first here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on AETi Productions. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show, everybody. It's going to be a good one here on Coffee with Graeme on AETi Productions. And it's Craig Perrett joining this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Reconnect with you again here. We connected prior to when your guys' regular season was going to start. It's been a while, but this team, what a season for you guys. I mean, just looking back at it, obviously more work to be done to be able to try to get to the finals here coming up, but just 24-2-2 on the regular season. Have to be pretty happy with that record for sure.
Oh, yeah, it's been a fun season. Our kids came to work every day. I was fortunate enough to have about 5 or 6 kids who played 3 and 4 years with me, so our leadership group was strong right off the start. And I think we were pretty hungry after missing a season last year. Not getting able to play and just practicing like we did kind of really set a fire in our group. So right from day one, we were ready to play, and we're hoping to have some good things happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the talent on this roster, you got players like Ryan Perrett, Caitlin Gilroy, Peyton Evans, Ellie Gauvin, Kian McKibben, who's listed as a rookie this season, Kyra Anderson. I mean, the list goes on of how much talent this team has out there. I mean, just when you're able to have that type of leadership, that type of group that you guys had out there. I mean, you spoke about it at the start of the season, how it was going to be nice to have this experience, but to see it come full circle this season, seeing what this leadership group was able to do must have been pretty special to see.
Yeah, I remember our first meeting as coaches, we talked about, what could derail our team. And basically us as a coaching staff says we were the ones who probably could mess it up for our group. So we just kind of had to keep them guiding down the right path throughout the year, which, like I said, with this group was pretty easy. Our practices were strong all year long. Of course, you go through those stretches where things aren't bouncing your way or you kind of get a little bit distracted throughout the year. But for the most part, I think we were pretty focused on what this group wanted to do. We just, like I said, we just guided them along the way and let the horses run. And that's, one of the easier years I've had. So it's been a lot of fun.
Obviously, a lot of players from different places come to Notre Dame to play. It's not the traditional type of team in this league. This is a program, a school. I mean, having different players coming in and being able to come together, no matter where they're from, not being able or not having been playing with each other before. How nice is that to see? Just the specialty of that, to see, you know, a bunch of different girls from different places come together to put out the successful product out on the ice.
Yeah, that's it's a neat social experience every time we come here for Notre Dame, because like you said, there's really, I mean, we're fortunate this year. There's a couple of kids that are actually from Notre Dame, from Wilcox, whose parents worked here and grew up in Wilcox playing for us. But for the most part, we're bringing kids from all over the world. And the good news on that is when they come to Notre Dame, they can chance to be who they are. They're not put in any buckets. They're not put in any groups at social, groups at high school or they're back home. They get to come here and focus on school and hockey. And that's what most of them want to do. I mean, you don't really move to a middle of a farmer's field unless you're coming for those for a specific reason. And our girls all want to be here to be hockey players and all want to be good athletes and good students. So it's quite fun to watch that happen, especially watching how, some of the girls that come in, like I said, I've had a couple that are 4 years in my program, watch them grow from a grade 9 young lady into a 17-year-old graduating woman that's going to university next year. Has been a lot of fun watching that growth come.
Let's move into the team now. I mean, the stats this team put up this season: 114 goals for, which wasn't the most in the league, but a very high-powered offensive team and a very good defensive team, only 42 goals against. Let's start on the offensive side of things. I mean, a team that had a lot of depth this season, a lot of goal scorers that scored over 10, 5 to be exact. Ryan Perrett and Kian McKibben, as well as Kyra Anderson, leading the team with 16 goals each this season, all tied for the team leading goals. When you're able to have as much depth as this team has, must make it, like you said, a lot easier on the coaches. You guys not just try not to screw it up with as much talent as there was in terms of depth offensively this year.
Oh yeah, those three happen to be on our top power play unit as well too. So that really contributes to your offense when you've got a power play unit that can score at the rate we did this year. I think we're at 25% for the season, which is pretty good in female hockey. It makes the game a lot easier. If we're scoring a power play goal a game, it really spots you up 1-0 right off the bat. So, with that mentality we had going into games, we knew that we could put our power play going. I think that's our secret, is we've had, our pretty balanced scoring lineup right from top to bottom. We didn't have anybody run away with any scoring on our team. We were pretty close from our top scorer down to, our 15th scorer on our team. And that's one of our, strengths, is we could just roll 4 lines at you. And we're going to, any given night, we're scoring on different lines, which again, from a coaching standpoint, just makes the game a lot easier to coach.
You spoke about the power play running at 25%. I mean, that's pretty darn good. I mean, like you said, especially in female hockey with the type of hockey that is played out there in the female game. But it was the power play something that took some time for these players to get used to and to gel on, or has it been something that's been a strong suit for the team consistently throughout the season?
Oh, it's a strong suit right off the bat. We've had a couple kids that have played together, whether it was here at Notre Dame or even previously before they came to Notre Dame. So they've known each other for a while. And then, our secret behind us, we didn't really give them any instructions. We just let them go. I want them to read plays and think the game of hockey at a higher level. So instead of us just designing plays on our power play, they just had to figure it out throughout the year. And they're pretty good. They would get together, watch video. They would get together as a group and talk about the power play. We try to run different units out there as much as we can. And just like I said, I just let them kind of figure it out on their own and develop what works for them.
Eva Filipova and Bailey Lindsay, the 2 goaltenders on this team. I mean, Bailey Lindsay finishing the season undefeated with a 13-0 record. Eva Filipova not too bad herself with a 13-4 record. These are goalies who could also put up shutouts. Just speak about how nice it was to not only be able to rely on one goaltender this year who was very good, but 2 very good goaltenders out there in net.
Yeah, that was we were lucky again in that area. If we didn't, get off a bus and have a slow period, we knew our goalies were going to be there to keep us in the game. Sometimes we took us half a game to get moving or get going, and they were there to shut the door. And even get down to tight games, or you're up a couple goals and a little bit of momentum going the wrong way right now, they're there to make the big stops for us. So, when you have trust in both your goalies and you just can roll them through and let them go, it makes it easy for me. I just kind of open that gate and say, go.
And only 42 goals against combined out of the two goaltenders that they allowed this season. And just looking at the shots, even though these goaltenders had to step up in those big moments, this was a team that didn't allow too many shots this season. Just speak about how much that played into the success of this team, was just the ability to, limit the team to as few shots as you guys would in games.
Yeah, we have the ability to skate as a group, both forwards and defense. So we use that to our advantage in our D zone. We like to run a bit of an overload, a little hybrid in our defensive zone, and we get in a lot of lanes and block shots. We do work a lot on blocking shots in practice. We're usually every couple of weeks we're doing some sort of shot blocking drill. The other part for us that really worked well is we didn't give up a lot of second chance scoring opportunities. So the goalies were there to stop the first shot, and we were able to clear that second rebound and get it away from our net as quick as possible. And, with our back end there, the ability for them to skate and transition pucks certainly made the game easy.
We spoke about the power play a bit earlier on in this interview. What about for the penalty kill? How you felt that it looked this season in terms of how it was operating out there against the power plays of the teams in this league?
Oh, it was pretty good. With our big rink here, we play on an international ice surface. So to have a power play that's super aggressive sometimes gets you in trouble. We worked a lot on active sticks, stops and starts, straight line skating, and getting in those shooting lanes. And we see a lot of different power plays in our league, so we had the ability to work on all of it. So I think our penalty kill ran out closely to 92% this year overall for the season. So our players take pride in those special teams, and it's something we talked about from the start of the year, that if we're going to win the special team games and most of our games, we're going to win most of those games.
This team this season finishing 24-2-2, finishing on a high note. I mean, it's been a pretty successful regular season, but finishing with 4 straight wins on the season, heading in the most recent one, a 4-1 win against the Saskatoon Stars, the team you guys will be facing off against in the first round. But just to see, this team finish strong in the last 4 games after dropping a close one to Regina 3-2, must be nice to know this team on the right foot heading into playoffs on a 4-game win streak.
Yeah, we had to make up some games there with COVID games that were missed and some weather games this year. So we had a tough last week. We had to play 5 games in 7 nights. But for me, that was a really good challenge for our group. I mean, we had to travel up to Saskatoon to play them twice in that last week. So it's just like playoffs here come Sunday. We head up there. We got to get on the bus, drive up and play. So that was a good, for us, it was a good practice run on, traveling 3 hours north and getting off the bus and playing a game. We had a great run to finish it off. I'd rather be going into the playoffs on a winning streak versus backing in. But once the playoffs start, it's a whole new ball game. So they're a little bit ahead of us in terms of playoff games this year. They've already played a series, so we're going to have to play a lot of catch up in the first couple periods.
What's been the focus, the emphasis during this bye week? Of course, finishing as the first place team in a 7-team league, having that luxury, finishing first, getting that bye. Obviously, would be nice to, have some games in there, but that's not the case when you do get a bye. But having this rest, this preparation, what's been the, just the whole emphasis, the mindset during this bye week for the team?
Well, I think the first week was rest. I mean, coming off those games in that last week, we had some banged up bodies and some kids that needed some rest. So we focused on just getting away from the rink for the first weekend there. Coming back last week, it wasn't as much as just getting on the ice and running through their paces as it was putting more strategic practices in hand and making sure that we're in the gym off the ice, working on our cardio and keeping our strength up during the week. Coming into this week, we knew who we were playing. So it's given us the ability as a coaching staff last week to really look into who we're playing. We had a good feeling it was going to be Saskatoon, just the way everything's been lined up for us this year. So we were able to dive a little bit more into our games against them in preparation. And then coming into this week, it's just making sure that we are focusing on what we do well and not overloading them with information and, give them the freedom to go out and play come Friday.
going up against Saskatoon, a team in the league that ended up finishing 4th place. Of course, beating Prince Albert in that first round in 3 games that they did. This is a team with some good players. Buziak, Barros, obviously, not only keen in on those 2 players, but this team that you guys faced this season, Saskatoon, you ended up finishing 4-0, 1-0 against them, so no losses, an overtime win in there, 19 goals for, 7 goals against, but playoffs a different ball game. What, as a coaching staff and as a team, would you say you'd be expecting from the Saskatoon Stars team coming in?
Well, this team has come a long way this year from the start of the year. They've got a younger team than we do. There's a bunch of first years on that team, but they're a very highly skilled hockey team. They can move the puck well and they skate well. So we're expecting them to come out and play us pretty hard. They like to score off the rush a lot, so it's a good challenge for us with our tracking and our defensive coverage that we make sure that we force them to do what they don't want to do. On the back end, they've got a couple of kids back there that skate well, that contribute to the offense with Fiala and Manish back there. Marissa McLaughlin had a really strong year, was playing for Team Saskatchewan. So we got to see her a little bit at the Western Challenge in a different environment as well. So we're expecting, hard games, hard fought, high pace, high skill hockey games with good goaltending. So I think it'll be fun to coach in, but if you're not coaching, it should be fun to watch as well.
For sure. And of course, you are going to have home ice advantage in that first game, being the first place team in the league. But just, coming off of a bye, obviously you can do all the preparation, all the work beforehand to get the team as prepared as possible. But you really don't know what's going to happen, coming off of that bye until you play games. What's going to be the, biggest mindset, I guess, in those first few minutes of that game 1 against Saskatoon, for these girls to get their feet, their legs under them?
Well, I think it's just get in the game as quick as you can. Make sure we get back to what we do. I mean, when I look at our lineup and the way this has gone, there's only 2 kids in my dressing room who've played playoff hockey in our league from 3 years ago, because we didn't get playoffs 2 years ago and we didn't have a season last year. So everyone's played in playoffs. The intensity goes up. I think for that first period for us, even up to that point, is it's going to be something new. The intensity level will be higher than what we're used to, and we're going to have to adjust to it quick. Hopefully our goaltending can hold us in like it has all year, and then see how quickly we can adjust. They're going to be coming. They'll be finishing more on bodies. There'll be more shots, more net front presence than we've probably seen most of the year, because the urgency is going to be up from their side of it for sure.
When will game 1 be played? Has it been announced yet when that first game will be played?
Yeah, we finalized everything yesterday. We'll play Friday night here at Notre Dame. We'll play Sunday up in Saskatoon. And then we'll play Friday night back here in Notre Dame and Monday night in Saskatoon. So we've got other teams in playoffs here at Notre Dame with our junior team and our midget AAA boys team. And then their arena is booked out for the weekend because they play in the Mirlish-Belzer Place, which is a beautiful arena, brand new one up in Saskatoon. So they use it a lot of the times for other events that go on within the city. So we're a little spread out to start, but I mean, at the end of the day, you still gotta win the games they put in front of you.
Yeah, well, first game under the lights on Friday night in Wilcox, Saskatchewan should be a lot of fun for the team and just everyone involved. Should be a great series there, Craig. Best of luck to you and all the other coaches, as well as this team, the Notre Dame Hounds, in the playoffs this season. Until next time when we talk here next on Coffee with Graeme, you take care, and like I said, best of luck in playoffs, Craig.
Thanks, Graeme. Enjoy it. Enjoy coming on anytime you need us, and thanks for all your support with our program.
Of course, Craig, you take care.
Okay, thanks.
Craig Perrett, head coach of the Notre Dame Hounds female U18 program in the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League. Notre Dame this season, I mean, this is a team that's going to be a tough out in the playoffs, of course, being the number 1 seed, 24-2-2-2 this season, finishing in first place. As you guys might have recalled throughout the time of doing league report here on Coffee with Graeme, Notre Dame always had games in hand on Regina, but once they were always behind them in the standings until the very last part of the season, when Notre Dame was able to finish strong on a 4-game winning streak and be able to surpass Regina in the standings. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens for Notre Dame here coming up in the playoffs. And Regina and Swift Current set to play each other as well in the semifinals. So the top 4 teams in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League still remaining. Who's going to make it through? Will it be Notre Dame to the next round, making it to the finals to play against the Regina Rebels, the 2 top teams in the league? Will it be the Hounds against Swift Current? Or will it be the Saskatoon Stars being able to pull off an upset against the Notre Dame Hounds? It should be very interesting to see. But coming up later on League Report, I'll be able to give you guys the updates of what's happened in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, how things played out, and the upcoming schedule for the teams in that league here coming up. So we are going to take it to a commercial break. A lot more to talk about on League Report next coming up here later on in the episode, but coming up next first is going to be this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody. Of course, we do this segment on every single one of our Tuesday morning episodes, except for some exceptions when there might not be some games to talk about. But there is one game that was played here on the network that Cody will be coming on to talk about, and that is the Swift Current Wildcats Game 3 playoff matchup from their quarterfinals first round series matchup against the Battlefords Sharks. That's coming up here on Off the Wall with Cody Wall and Coffee with Graeme. But first off, we are going to take our first commercial break here of the show. When we come back, this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody coming up here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
It's another edition of Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. Cody Wall joining me on this Tuesday morning, as always, on Coffee with Graeme on a segment Off the Wall. Cody Wall, you doing good on this Tuesday morning? Ready to talk about this one only game we're going to talk about this Tuesday morning, the Swift Current Wildcats and Battlefords Sharks Game 3 that we saw on the network this past Wednesday. But yeah, I got to ask you, man, as always, like I've already asked already, how you doing on this Tuesday morning, man? Thanks for coming on once again.
Yeah, doing great. I'm doing good, Graeme. How are you? I love that background you got back there. Just really adds to the feel today for Off the Wall.
Yeah, it's, I guess it's the first time having this background on Off the Wall with Cody. Yeah, thanks, Cody. I know that Glenn sent this to me, so I've tried it out, and it's looking nice. So hoping to have more backgrounds like this moving forward. Not just this one, but ones similar to this that are different in the way they look. But let's move into the game that we got to talk about here today, Cody, and that is the Swift Current Wildcats. They ended up defeating the Battlefords Sharks in Game 3 of their best-of-5 first-round quarterfinal series last Wednesday, 4-0. Swift Current, with that win, ended up taking a 2-1 series lead. But for Swift Current in this game, after dropping their previous game heading into this one, with it being knotted up at 1 apiece, for Swift Current to come through with this 4-0 win, maybe one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game and biggest win of their season at that point.
Yeah, they really looked dominant in that Wednesday affair. We're so strong with offensive pressure. Never really looked like they had any doubt in any point throughout the game. Just really looked like they were able to settle down and, kind of execute the mission that they've been on here, and that was to, defeat the Battlefords Sharks, and they did just that. Now moving on to, they'll be looking to move on to the next round after winning their series against Battleford.
Yeah, and that game that they ended up winning obviously wasn't the series clincher, but being able to go up 2-1, putting a lot of pressure on the opposition, especially when that opposition is ranked lower than you are. But if Battlefords was able to take it, that could have been looking like a much different series. But for Swift Current, a scoreless first period for them, as well as Battlefords in that game. But something that Swift hasn't been able to do was lead in the shots in that period. Throughout the first 2 games, they tied shots the first game in that first period, got outshot in the second game in that first period. But this time around, even though it was scoreless, Swift not giving up a goal and also being able to lead in the shot category. You think that was a moral victory for them at that point, something that they really needed to get themselves going in that Game 3, just knowing that they were able to have a more solid first period than in the first 2 games?
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the shots spread out amongst all the periods, Swift Current came out strong, but they really exploded in that second period. But they looked confident out there with the puck and really were able to pressure their opponents. And I think that was why they were able to register more shots than the Sharks and able to just generate more off of their offensive opportunities.
For the Wildcats, they ended up scoring 2 in the second in that game, added 2 in the third to win 4-2. Not to win 4-2, to win 4-0 in that matchup, scoring 2 in the third to add on to their 2-0 lead. But for Swift in this game, I mean, you talk about the girls that scored, and Jersey Watain ended up having the last 2 goals in this game, an empty netter and one to finish things off to make it 4-0. Also scoring in that game was Ava Metzger and Kiana McNitch. But just to see those big players come through for Swift Current must have been huge for them in that all-important Game 3 at the time.
Yeah, when you find your back up against the wall like you would in a game where, Game 3 definitely is a pivotal game where you come in and if you go down, you lose that game in Game 3. Now you're going home or going to Battleford's rink down by 1. Those are definitely the games where you need your top offensive players to step up. And that was something that Swift Current definitely had. Like you said, Jersey Watain scoring 2 goals, Ava Metzger scoring the first goal, and Kiana McNitch picking up another goal. Just all 3 players often are girls we see on the score sheet and contributing for this Swift Current team. And they all did that all at the most opportune time for the Wildcats there to take the lead in that game and really take the lead in the series.
For the Battlefords Sharks coming into that game, coming off of a big Game 2 win to even up the series at 1 apiece, of course, being able to play Swift Current tough in that first game as well, as they were up 1-0 against Swift until that third period when Swift broke the game open by scoring 3 unanswered. Of course, the game before game 3 matchup, Battlefords able to beat Swift 2-1. But for that game in Battlefords, for Battlefords, not in Battlefords, but for Battlefords in game 3 as they went into Swift, just talk about their performance overall, where you felt like they fall short to go down 2-1 in the series at that point.
Yeah, I felt like it really was Swift. I wouldn't say it was anything really Swift Battleford wasn't doing. It was more just Swift Current was they were quick on pucks. They were we saw from even their penalty kill, Swift Current was just so dominant, able to keep Battleford off the board when they were on their power play, just finding their way to pucks and dumping them, just really suffocating their opponent. That was something I really saw Swift Current do well. Not necessarily to say that Battleford did anything wrong, just Swift Current really was just a stronger team and really suffocated their opponents.
For Battlefords, they got outshot in this game, outscored in this game, but they had their opportunities on the power play. You spoke to how Swift Current's penalty kill was strong, but talk about how, Battlefords, they had some not fits caused, but how Swift was able to cause fits when, for Battlefords, when they were on the power play, and how Battlefords wasn't able to capitalize when they did have the girl advantage against Swift.
Yeah, usually when you have the girl advantage, you're going to try and find that open player. So Current really just did a great job of utilizing that tight box, and every time that Battleford would pass the puck, Swift Current would be quick on it and pressuring the girl so that she wouldn't be able to make a good play where she was able to really have time, think it out, and try to set up an opportunity. And that kind of quick movement and quick thinking by Swift Current really hindered Battleford's ability to set up and really take advantage of that woman advantage that they had with the power play.
We'll talk about the goaltenders now, but talking about the goaltender and the losing effort of things was Emily Backman, goaltender for this Battleford Sharks team, who has been one of the top goaltenders in the league this season. I mean, I'm sure that some coaches would argue that maybe she's been maybe even the most impressive goaltender this year in the league, with just the numbers she put up on the type of team she was playing on. But for this Battleford Sharks team, she was a big reason of why they were in this series to begin with. She ended up letting up 4 goals in that game, but making 30 out of 34 saves out of 34 shots faced, making 30 saves. Got to be somewhat happy with that performance in general. I mean, knowing that one of them was not even let in by Emily Backman, so she ended up really stopping 31 of 34 shots.
Yeah, really can't be too disappointed if you're Emily Backman, stopping, doing her part, really stopping the majority of the pucks that came her way. Other than, if Emily came out and scored a goal, she really did all that you really couldn't expect from a goaltender in a game like that, where she just continually was able to stand tall and continually battle. And that was something you really saw from her as the game progressed. She never really got down after her team, even when her team did fall behind. Never really looked like, the game was over. Always looked like she was staying in there and battling throughout the whole 60 minutes.
Aurora Van Wormer in this game, being able to come out and win, getting the shutout. Her first start of the playoffs up until this point, her first career playoff game. Can't get any better than this, being able to come out with a shutout, stopping 22 of all 22 shots she faced.
Yeah, definitely. She didn't have as busy of a night as Emily Bachman had, but Aurora Van Wormer stopping all the shots that came her way. And that was really a testament to the overall team play by Swift Current, like I had mentioned, how they were able to suffocate their opponents on the penalty kill, they really were able to continue that on the 5-on-5 play too, and really was able to keep a lot of the high danger shots to the outside, those long range shots where Aurora Van Wormer had a little extra time to see it coming in and be able to read and react and make those precise saves.
The last question before we end off things here today, Cody, but more so looking into the next round for Swift Current. We're going to be able to talk about their game that they're playing here coming up on the weekend, which I'll tell you all about coming up here on the show when it is happening. But for them, they're into the second round now. They ended up winning game 4 back on Saturday. So a bit of a tougher series to open up for Swift. They're getting Regina, the second place team, in the next round. You know, having a type of series like this for a team like Swift Current, who has played in close games all season long, to be able to get that once again, being able to power through, I mean, couldn't have asked for a better way to open things up, being a bit battle tested heading in against a very high-powered Regina Rebels team who Swift also has had some success against this season.
Yeah, with playoffs, it's always a new beast, but you know, I do think Swift Current facing a little bit of adversity in that first round, you know, definitely doesn't hurt. These two teams in Swift Current and Regina definitely have had some entertaining games throughout the season. They were battling neck and neck throughout a majority of the games that I had witnessed between the two, and I'm very excited to, you know, watch as both teams make it on to the second round.
Well, the game that we would be talking about here on Off the Wall with Cody coming up next week would be game 2 that is happening on Sunday. You can catch it here on ASTV Productions from Fairview Arena. Swift Current facing off against the Regina Rebels, but they actually will be playing each other in game 1 at the Cooperators Center in Regina, Saskatchewan, on the day before, coming up this Saturday on March 19th at 5:30 p.m. That Sunday game going at 5:45 p.m. But Cody, going to be exciting to talk about that game coming up next week on Off the Wall with Cody. I'm not sure what else we'll be talking about then, but until then, man, you take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time here from more Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. Cody.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Graeme. And as always, it's great chatting and catching up with you here on Tuesday morning.
Likewise, Cody, you take care. Cody Wall joining this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. And I'm sure that there will be some games to talk about coming up next week on the show. I know that here in Manitoba, for our Manitoba crew, we will actually be back at Pan Am Pool for the Man-Sask Championships. So some Manitoba combined with Saskatchewan swimming championships coming up on Thursday, actually, on March 17th. So I'm not too sure if there will be an episode of Coffee with Graeme coming out on Thursday. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, might not be happening on Thursday for Coffee with Graeme, since I will be at Pan Am Pool to be announcing the swim meets that will be happening in the night there for Man-Sask. But stay tuned on ASTV Productions this weekend, coming up from March 17th, starting on Thursday to March 20th. We'll have some fantastic swimming for you guys to watch here on the network, and I can't wait to be calling it. But first things first, it is time now to send it to another commercial break here in the show, and then coming up after the commercial break, I'll finish off today's edition of Coffee with Graeme with an edition of League Report, talking about the Manitoba Female U18 AAA Hockey League, the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League playoffs, as well as the Manitoba AAA U18 Hockey League playoffs, the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League playoffs, as well as the leaders in points, goals, assists, as well as shutouts and wins. Or not in wins, but we'll have to figure out the goalie stuff. I'll be talking about the stats from the goaltenders in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League playoffs. That's coming up on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. League Report coming up next here on the show.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Two people joined today's edition of the show, starting off with Craig Perrett, head coach of the Notre Dame Hounds, female U18 AAA team in the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League. I was also joined by Cody Wall on Off the Wall with Cody most recently. Special thanks to those two for coming on today's episode and being the two guests on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme. But it is now time to move into today's edition of League Report, and we will start off with talking about the female leagues here, and then we'll transition into talking about the male leagues that are talked about here on the show. But in the Manitoba female U18 AAA Hockey League in the MMJHL, we do have a team that has booked their ticket, punched their ticket to the finals, and I'll show it to you guys here of who that team is. And that is not the right feature. Let's take a look how this looks. So as you can see here, we'll get the overlay up here as well. Yeah, here we go. So you can see here in terms of the postseason standings, the Westman Wildcats, the number one team, most wins so far. And the reason they have the most wins, well, that is the team that punched their ticket to the championship series in the MFHL this year. Congratulations to the Westman Wildcats, a team that I did not have going to the finals. I had the Yellowhead Chiefs going to the finals from the very start when I picked my playoff bracket, but it was the Westman Wildcats proving a lot of people wrong, and myself included, and congratulations to them. Let's see how it all unfolded here. So coming into March 12th, into that Game 3 matchup, which ended up happening... Let's see, March 12th. Ended up happening on Saturday. It was the Westman Wildcats winning 3-2 in OT over Yellowhead to put them on the brink of elimination. And then they played Game 4 yesterday in Hartney in the Wildcats' home arena, and the Wildcats able to take care of business and go to the finals for another time in this team's history, winning 3-1 over the Yellowhead Chiefs. And the third place team into the finals. The last time that this team was in the finals was back in 2018-19. In that season, that was the last time that there was actually a championship series played, and Westman defeated the Winnipeg Avros then in that series to win the championship. Will we be seeing a rematch, or will we be seeing the Winnipeg Ice going through? Because the Winnipeg Ice have not made it easy on the Winnipeg Avros whatsoever. They were tied heading into Thursday's matchup, or not Thursday's matchup, Friday night's matchup on March 11th. The series was tied 1 apiece, and it was the Winnipeg Ice putting the pressure on the Avros, winning 2-1 in that game, going up 2-1 in the series. But as you can see here on Sunday, on March 13th, the Avros said, well, not so fast. We're going to extend this series, and we're going to play a Game 5, as the Avros were able to win that 3-0 to tie up the series at 2. And we'll take a look at the schedule when the final game in this series will be played. Well, it is happening at Seven Oaks Arena at the Seven Oaks Sportsplex. This Saturday coming up at 4 p.m., the Avros at home to take on the Winnipeg Ice. Will the Ice complete the upset, or will the Avros battle through the adversity that they faced and make it to another final, their third straight final? will be interesting to see. Also interesting to note in this league this year in the playoffs, the top two teams, the Avs and the Chiefs, ended up sweeping their opposition in the first round. Well, for the Chiefs, that sweep didn't matter much in the end, as they ended up losing in 4 games to the Westman Wildcats. For the Avs, they're 1 game away from being eliminated. So it will be very interesting to see. And it is also interesting to point out that in these 2 semifinal series, the team that has gone up 1-0 has faced elimination. Of course, the Avs have been able to fight it off after being down 2-1 in their series, tying it up at 2 at this point. For the L.A. Chiefs, they ended up dropping 3 straight in this series that they faced off against the Westman Wildcats after they won their first game. So those are some interesting stats I'm throwing your way for this league here on this Tuesday morning. Let's move into the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League now. Taking a look at the past matchups, only 2 games happened here on Saturday in the league this past weekend, and it was the Swift Current Wildcats taking care of business against the Battlefords Sharks, winning 4-1 to punch their ticket to the next round. Regina ended up winning in 3 games in their series, completing their dominant series performance over the Weyburn Gold Wings with a 5-1 victory in their game 3 this past Saturday. So sets up the top 4 teams in the league will be going at it in the semifinals. It is the Notre Dame Hounds, the number 1 team in the league, who are coming off a first round bye, will be taking on the Saskatoon Stars this Friday at 7:30 p.m. and the Swift Current Wildcats starting off their second round series, their semifinal series against the Regina Rebels. And Sunday's game can be seen here between Regina and Swift Current at Fairview Arena on ASTV Productions. That game going at 5:45 p.m. But yeah, that's all to report really on the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. Let's move into some high school action now from the female side of things. Getting into the playoffs here. Going into the CTV Division 1 in the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League. Taking a look at what is going on here. And yeah, we are into the finals now. So it is the CJS Olympians taking on the JH Bruns Broncos. They played their first game yesterday. It was CJS winning that game 4-0 over JH Bruns. CJS looking to complete the series tomorrow and bring home a championship at 7 p.m. at the Bell MTS Iceplex, the Flynn Rink. And of course, taking a look at it, CJS, the number 1 team in the whole CTV division, they are taking on JH Bruns, who is the 3rd place team this season in Division 1 hockey and the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League. Of course, all of the finals, and this was included for the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, for the men's high school hockey league here, the boys high school hockey league, I guess we'll call it that. The men's high school hockey league, the Winnipeg High School Hockey League is what it's referred to. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble trying to explain that, but yeah, all their finals matchups, all their championship series were also played at Bell MTS and at the Iceplex, and that's what is happening for the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League as well. But let's get back to it now. So in the Winnipeg Free Press Division 2, in this WWHSHL, Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League, it is the Sanford Sabres kicking things off today at home for this playoff game. So they are the home team coming in, and they're going up against the GCC Gophers tonight at 6:45 p.m. Game 2 will go tomorrow at 5 p.m. And if there needs to be a game 3, that will be going on March 17th. So coming up this week on Thursday at 4:45 p.m. But taking a look at these 2 teams, Sanford coming in, the number 1 team in the whole Winnipeg Free Press division, taking on Garden City, of course, the GCC Gophers. And for Garden City, they are the second place team this season. So 1 versus 2 going at it in the finals. For these two teams, thinking just how it should be. But in the higher marketing division, now Division 3, they've already kicked off their finals in that series. Game 2 goes tonight today at 4:45 p.m. at the Bell MTS Iceplex Flynn Arena. And it is Murdoch McKay in a close one in Game 1 yesterday, winning 3-2 over the WKC Wolverines. Now, taking a look at these teams coming in, WKC going on a run in their playoffs, being able to eliminate the number 1 seeded Glenlawn Lions to make it to the finals. And for Murdoch McKay, this team was the higher ranked team coming in. And just taking a look at it. Murdoch McKay ended up finishing second in the league. So Murdoch McKay definitely favored in this series, but WKC, the Wolverines, will not be making it easy on them. That is for sure. We'll have all the stats for you guys of the leaders in the playoffs from the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League coming up on either Thursday night or next week's edition Coffee with Graeme, depending on what is going to be happening. But let's move into the AAA League and the Manitoba AAA U18 Hockey League. And we'll move into playoffs here. Taking a look at what has been going down. We'll take a look at the standings. And there are the semifinals matchups are set. So it was the Brandon Wheat Kings, as you can see here in the standings, along with the Eastman Selects and the Winnipeg Wild. The top 3 teams in the league this season. Eastman finished 3rd, the Wild finished 2nd, and Brandon finished in 1st. But all top 3 teams taking care of business and putting up some dominant performances in that first round matchup that those teams had. The Bruins, Thrashers, and Southwest all eliminated, and Parkland, the Rangers, ended up eliminating the Yellowhead Chiefs in 4 games in their series. So let's take a look at what is on tap now for this league, when these series will be kicking off. They actually kicked off yesterday, but there are no scores to report at this point. It is the Wild, the number 2 team in the league, taking on the Eastman Selects. Of course, the Wild being based out of Winnipeg, and then the Brandon Wheat Kings playing against the Parkland Rangers in this next round, this best of 5. Winners of these series will be moving on to the finals, and depending on what happened yesterday, depending on who's down in these series, these 4 teams will not be playing again until coming up this Friday. So some time in between games for these teams coming up. I guess they didn't play yet. Sorry, I'm looking at the date here. So all teams for Parkland at least having a full week off of games. For Brandon, they ended up clinching their series to move on in OT 4-3 over Southwest. So they played last on Saturday. And for the Winnipeg Wild and the Eastman Selects, and Eastman beat the Bruins in a close one, 3-2 in overtime. The Wild winning 6-3, and the Thrashers to send them through to the next round. But all teams remaining have a lot of time until the next round, which will be coming up this week, is when it will be starting. So it has not started yet. But after these Sunday matchups, they will be playing again on Friday and then on Sunday. And then you can see here the days that these teams will be playing. This second round could be very well going into April. So it'll be interesting to see how these top 4 teams do that are remaining, finishing in the league this season. Not finishing in the league this season, but how these teams will be doing in the next round. It will be interesting to see here coming up in the semifinals. But we'll go to home here and take a look. So Parkland really the only upset that ended up happening in this first round. But honestly, it is calling it an upset, you can, but these teams were pretty close in the regular season, as you can see them in yellowhead. But let's move on now to the MMJHL, and playoffs have started in this league. We'll take a look at what has happened so far in the playoffs. So the St. Vital Junior Victorias finishing as the 4th place team. They're taking on the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, and that series actually kicked off last Thursday at the St. Vital Centennial Arena. It was St. Vital winning 5-4 in that game to go up 1-0 in the series. And then they played again on Sunday, so 2 days ago. And it was the Raiders Junior Hockey Club tying up the series at 1 apiece with a 5-3 win. Looking at the number 1 team in the league, the St. James Junior Canucks, facing off against the lowest ranked team in the playoffs in the Charleswood Hawks, while St. James, they started off their playoffs on Friday, and they started it off on the right note, 6-0 win over the Charleswood Hawks. And then they also played each other on Sunday for game 2, and it was St. James going into Charleswood's home arena, winning 7-2. Looking at the number 2 seeded team in the league, the Transcona Railer Express, facing off against the River East Royal Knights, who finished in 7th. River East back in the playoffs after a while. They have not been in the playoffs for a while, but they ended up grabbing that first win, still in a win in the East End Arena at the Egg Golding Arena. 3-2 in OT. They won that first game over Transcona in OT, but then Transcona able to tie up the series at 1 apiece with a 6-3 win on Sunday on March 13th. Looking at the 3 versus 6 series now, the number 3 seeded Pembina Valley Twisters taking on the Fort Garry Twins in the first round, as Fort Garry is the 6th place team. They finished there this season. And for Fort Garry, they were able to go into Morris against Pembina Valley this past Friday last week and put them down in the series 1-0 with a 3-1 win. But then it was the Pembina Valley Twisters coming into Century Arena on Sunday and winning a close game in OT, but a much needed win for them at this point in their playoff series in the first round against Fort Garry, 3-2. Taking a look at it, all 4 series will be playing their next games here in the next 2 days. The Raiders Junior Hockey Club going into St. Vital Arena here tonight at 7:30 p.m. to play against St. Vital in Game 3 of that series. Winner moves ahead in the series as it is tied at this point. Pembina Valley, they will be at home tonight against the Fort Garry Twins. That series tied up at 1 apiece. Transcona will be at home to take on the River East Royal Knights. 8 p.m. will be the puck drop for that game. For the Twisters game, the puck will drop at 8 p.m. For the Vicks game, the puck will drop at 7:30 p.m. And then St. James and Charleswood. St. James with an opportunity to go up 3-0, really put Charleswood into a massive stranglehold here at 7:45 p.m. tomorrow. St. James will be at home for that one. And yeah, if you guys want to check out the rest of when these playoff matchups may be played, well, check out mmjhl.ca for more of that info. Yeah, that's going to do it for the MMJHL. Just want to get into the Winnipeg High School Hockey League here, and then we will be taking a commercial break. But yeah, I will just go back and, say who won the divisions this year once again in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. In the Platinum Promotions Division, congratulations once again to St. Paul's number 1 for winning 3-game series. It went to 3 games, went the distance against Westwood. Of course, St. Paul's won their last game against Westwood 6-1 to claim the championship. Congratulations to St. Paul's Team 1, as well as congratulations to Springfield for being able to beat the College Bellevue Barracudas in their series in the finals. Springfield ended up winning game 1 3-0. Just want to go back here to the Winnipeg High School Hockey League Twitter and take a look at that final matchup. So, yeah, Springfield was able to really dominate Belleville on the scoreboard this series. Not too sure how close the games really were, but the scoreboard indicating that Springfield was able to really cruise to victory. Once again, I'd have to look more into the games, but they won 5-1 in game 2 after winning 3-0 in game 1 to knock off the defending champion College Belleville Barracudas. So for Belleville, not being able to go back-to-back, but a heck of a run for this team, who ended up not even losing the game before their game 1 against Springfield. So, yeah, congratulations to both teams on stellar seasons, as well as congratulations to Westwood on a stellar season as well. Of course, St. Paul's as well. And, for the C Division, last game to report here in the playoffs this year, while Leo Remillard went up 4-2 and ended up winning 4-2 in game 1 of their first game of the C Division Championship Series over John Taylor. And the last game of the season between the two top teams in the C Division this year, Leo Remillard and John Taylor, went the distance, but it was Leo Remillard winning game 2, 3-2 in overtime for the school to claim yet another championship. Congratulations to Leo Remillard, and congratulations to John Taylor. Congratulations to both teams on fantastic seasons, being able to make it to the championship series at the Bell MTS Iceplex. But taking a look at the leaders throughout the playoffs, all divisions combined, congrats to Jonah Norman of St. Paul's #1 for leading the playoffs in points with 18 points in 7 games played. Congrats to Cohen Chang of the College Belleville Barracudas for finishing with the most goals out of any player in any division, with 12 goals in 8 games played. Noah Perkins for Leo Remillard. Cohen Chang of College Belleville ended up leading with 12 goals. Noah Perkins for Leo Remillard finishing second with 2 games less played, with 2 less games played, with 11 goals in 6 games played, as opposed to Chang's 12 goals in 8 games played. But also congratulations to Jonah Norman once again for leading the whole playoffs in assists with 13 in 7 games played for the St. Paul's 1 forward. Pretty sure he's a forward. Yeah, he is a forward. But congratulations to him. And then congratulations to, I guess the shutout leaders here. And the one shutout leader was Josh Rock for Springfield, finishing with 3 shutouts. Very impressive performance from him. He also played the most minutes out of any goaltender this playoffs, with just surpassing over 400 minutes, 404.1 minutes that Josh ended up playing. But congratulations to goals against average leader as well. And River Leslie, too good for St. Paul's #1, finishing with a 1.10 goals against average. In terms of wins here, Josh Rock for Springfield led with 3 more wins than the next guy, Connor Murphy of John Taylor, with 7 wins. So congratulations to him. And for Josh Rock for Springfield, he ended up only losing once this entire playoff. So strong performance from him. Congratulations to not only Mr. Rock, but all the other players mentioned here. Should be proud of the playoff performances and just the seasons that you had in general here. But yeah, that is going to do it for League Report, everybody, for this episode's edition of it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We are going to take one more commercial break here on the show. Then when we come back, I'm going to give some final words on this edition of Coffee with Graeme here on ASTV Productions. welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Just got done doing today's edition of League Report. Sorry, folks, I'm indigestion. Seems like that happens quite a bit, but yeah, welcome back to this edition of Coffee with Graeme. This is going to mark the end of today's episode. I want to once again give a special thanks to the two people who joined me in today's episode, and Craig Perrett, head coach of the Notre Dame Hounds female U18 AAA team in the Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League, as well as Cody Wall for joining Off the Wall with Cody and breaking down the past game that we saw here on the network within the last week between the Swift Current Wildcats and the Battlefords Sharks Game 3 quarterfinals matchup. Also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in today, as well as the sponsors of Coffee with Graeme for sponsoring another edition of the show in AETi, Caisse Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. Coffee with Graeme, it is either coming to you on Thursday night next. It's either coming to you next on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, or we might be canceling the next edition of Coffee with Graeme and just airing one next week on Tuesday. Might be running a rerun, but I'm not too sure yet because I'm probably going to be announcing swimming on Thursday night, and that will probably conflict. So stay tuned for that on our social media pages, on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV to stay up to date of if and when that next edition of Coffee with Graeme is coming out. But yeah, if it does come out on Thursday night, and even if it comes out on Tuesday morning, the next edition of the show, you can catch it at the same place for every one of our episodes on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, or you can simply check us out on our website at amateursports.tv or astvproductions.com. Either way you type it in out of those two, it'll bring you to the same place. But yeah, one show for certain that will be airing coming up tomorrow will be Rise and Shine Manitoba's show, returning for another week. Going to be fun to talk about the Winnipeg Jets, as well as some other stuff from the NHL, talking about the NHL trade deadline on that show, as well as talking about, anything else I can think of. I haven't really thought of what to do yet, but that's going to be on my segment, Graham's Opinion, tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. It's always a lot of fun to be able to do that segment. I hope that the viewers enjoy it too. But aside from that, going to have Gordy Tummelson, goalie coach and marketing director of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joining tomorrow's episode, as well as Adam Wedlake, I'm pretty sure, is going to be joining tomorrow's episode as well. Executive Director of Basketball Manitoba. But the guest list is not finalized yet. Be sure to check out our social media tonight, our pages on Instagram, our Facebook, and Twitter to see what the guest list will be for tomorrow's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show. You can catch that edition of Manitoba show tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and on our website as well. But until then, folks, until next time here when I see you next on Coffee with Graeme and just here on the network in general, I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth, giving you the salute and the peace out here on this Tuesday. Until next time, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day today. Stay safe out there. And yeah, until next time, we'll see you later, folks. Peace out again, everybody. Take care.